now you go in and put your keyword or fill in the blank. You can either put it in there, and then what we'll do is select all the responses, look at the ones that were the top choices, display maybe, you know, the top however many, you know, 5 people in the room said, you know, their favorite color is blue. And then show blue, you know, maybe a percent. Or, you know, we talked about some way of doing that to actually display the top keywords that were inputted. So
these are the numeric entries and such also that really won't have that
we'd like to be able to see what the responses were. Yeah.
For students to type in numbers actually, but I just was trying to visualize how it's going to display them or eliminate the correct answers and such. Yeah,
you can currently view them. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the participant monitor, but it will actually show the students' textual responses. So if you bring that up, you know, it might not be something you want to show in front of the class because it will also show their, you know, their percent correct, incorrect at the moment. But so if you're doing it dual monitors, you know, you can always have those up on one screen to kind of keep an eye on what the class is actually doing. You brought it up here.
Yeah, I just brought it up in case you.
So a text entry or a numeric entry will show up on this.
I believe it will.
Yeah. See, and then when you roll down, if you click, why don't you go ahead and click on all monitors. See, we're not using a list, so it's not very intuitive, but you can see the actual question, and then under responses, you can see for each individual device what the response is at.
Yeah, and this is it's actually not. It's one of those features in TurningPoint that we probably should tell our end users more about. But it's as simple as hitting the function 12 key on your keyboard, and it'll bring that up. Very handy in a dual monitor mode, like you said, where the students would not see the actual monitor itself. They would see it only on the instructor would only see it.
I was just wondering how you display to the students, because the whole idea of display for the classes.
Yeah, we're working on that. Yeah, we just can't put a box that shows the top response. Yeah.
These new devices are, real quick, I'll decimal, and you'll be able to assign a number a positive or negative value. It will have self-paced testing ability, so a student could actually, as opposed to using, say, a bubble sheet like a Scantron type form, they could actually take an entire test in their keypad using the up and down arrow keys to cycle through the actual test questions. And as soon as they're done, a 1 or 2 button combination, and it'll completely upload the whole test into the instructor's computer. No bubble sheets, no pencils, and no waiting to have it graded. It's graded almost instantly. And we're going to have a tremendous amount of storage capability. Over 16 times the amount of storage capability for self-paced testing type of assignments as the other response vendors. We were just able to really put a lot of memory in this device. We're going to be able, for the generating a participant list, probably the #1 issue in all student response in higher education. We're going to be able to store the student's ID as well as any other information they would like to place in the device. What this means is that as the device responds, it actually tells the instructor's computer who I am at the same time. So it builds the list automatically. In a sense, if a university was using strictly that keypad, they wouldn't even need a device registration page, because whichever classroom they went into, the device would tell the instructor in real time who it is that's using this device. We'll also have the ability to enter in a student ID on a session-by-session basis. So if a student would just like to, or the school chooses to just use a student ID as a way of identifying the student, you can also do that from the device itself. So outside of thumbprint identification, we're getting there in terms of building these participant lists in real time. On-screen channel and battery indicators. I can't tell you how much feedback we've received in regards to being able to know which channel the device is on and how much battery life is in there. And we lobbied with our hardware designers to have that on screen at all times, and that will in fact be the case with this new device. I have just some questions, and these have come up recently, and just in some of my visits to some of the universities that we work with. How important is it in general, is it for the instructors or the instructors that you work with to to be able to identify or associate a student with the device during class. Can you just give me your overall opinion on that? I've got one response. Who hasn't responded yet? All right, there's two. Extremely important. So you do instructors actually look at on an individual basis during class who is or isn't responding?
The reason they do that is because the student want to verify that they have been responding.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. That's a great point and something I did not think about. So for the verification that their responses are coming in. Okay.
So in this question, you mean identifying who the student is in class versus identifying them later?
Exactly. In other words, at the time of class. Yeah. Yeah. At the time of class, is it important to be able to associate a student with that device, or is it not important at that time?
Not at that moment. I just need to know it later.
It would be important to you later. And in your case, for response confirmation, it's important during class.
Right, because they are being graded and all that.
Sure.
So you want to make sure.
Sure. Which reports do you think your faculty utilize more? Is it the group reports, or actually, this is on our individual participant reports. How important do you think those reports are to your faculty? Do they heavily utilize those or no? I've got one response. Who hasn't responded? There we go. So the individual participant reports are important, possibly for the same reason, Lorna?
No, it's well, not in class, but
Afterwards?
afterwards.
Okay.
Because they are being graded.
Sure.
Either attendance or whatever.
What about the group reports, the ones that just give a summary of the entire group itself? Not as important. Okay, that's interesting. Any comment as to why you feel that way?
The faculty just use the individual report. It's not that they don't use the full report, it's just not as important.
Oh, sure. I mean, the group reports do a great job of giving a full summary. I'm just curious as to, which report is most important to them.
It's not that they don't use it at all, they use it, but it's not.
Understood. Sure. Are there, one of the things that we've seen in education, whether it's K through 12 or higher ed, is the need to work with other applications, so to make the data able to be shared by them. Right now, we have a heavy emphasis on working with the course management systems. Are there any other applications outside of the course management systems that you feel would be a good candidate for TurningPoint to be able to work with? Respondus? Okay. I can tell you I'm under NDA with them, but we are talking. I'm at least allowed to say that. So, any other application come to mind?
I'm probably the only one who's going to say this, but I'd like to have just a generic API. I roll my own stuff, and it'd be nice to be able to not have to be a huge CMS to integrate.
When you say a generic API, are you referring to the ability, an API from TurningPoint to communicate with something else, or?
Yeah, to be able to input your list or to pull up results.
Yeah, like I'm writing my own LMS.
Okay. Interesting, because we have another client right now that we are in the process of creating an API that would allow you to basically open or point to a TurningPoint session and tell it to give you the scores, and basically give you a two-dimensional array of participant IDs and their scores. So kind of trying to do that right front up.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's one thing that we've discovered. If one person asks for it, there's others that want it. Well, the hard part is finding out how many are the others. Yeah, and how many of the others there are. But no, that's a very good suggestion. Any other application? And I know we covered SPSS yesterday. And possibly, I think this is one of the other under-publicized features of TurningPoint. It has a very powerful data export wizard. And if you can bring in data in a CSV type of format, you can really customize that data through that wizard. It doesn't just give you a fixed structured CSV type of file. You can literally tell it what fields you want, what data, the responses, scores, points, in any order as well in that CSV file.